had the same thing when I was a kid. And then here I am in Hawaii, my hair just gets bigger, which I like because I felt like I didn't have as much anymore. Anyway, how are you all doing? Let me know how you're doing in the chat box. Say hello. Let me know that you're here. Send me some love. And today we're going to jam on alignment, right? So last week I was talking about how to review your year and reflect on your year to get more out of it, right? And this week I want to talk about the third part of that whole reviewing 2020 to make sure 21's awesome process, okay? So what that can look like is really assessing our core values to make sure that what we decide we want in 2021 is in alignment with what we value, who we are, and how we want to show up in the world. So if we remember the process from last week, there were about 14, 15 questions where you reflected on the past year and what you were proud of, what was a challenge, what were your obstacles, very specifically, what were the thoughts that contributed to the things that you were proud of, and the thoughts that contributed to maybe the things that did not help expand your energy in 2020, right? The things that didn't help you achieve your goals. So in that process, then we say, okay, now I've learned, right? It's a learning and growth process. I've learned from 2020. Now I'm going to find out what are the goals, intentions, resolutions that I want to create for 2021, right? And what's the difference between a goal? I personally don't like to call them goals because like a goal is something that we do, whereas like an intention almost feels to me more like something that we are, something that guides us, right? Whatever it is for you. Sorry, my kiddo's sick and I work in a studio now. You can probably hear in the background. But anyway, we really want to get into alignment with what is it that will help me show up, do the things I need to do, be who I need to be in order to create the life that I'm meant to live. When we don't have that awareness, what ends up happening is we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy on things that no longer serve us, right? Or things that might be detrimental to our goals and what we want. So it's really important that we take the time to get very clear. Is this actually what I want? Or is it something other people think I should want? Or is it something that I used to want that maybe I've actually outgrown now? And how are we applying our reflection about the previous year to the creation of those intentions? Remember, if we want different results, we need to do things differently, right? We cannot do the same thing year after year and expect a different result. Like, oh, well, I did that and it didn't work. Let me just do more of that for a whole other year. No, that's not how it works. What can we do differently? All right, so let me pull up my little alignment page here. So when we are getting into alignment, we want to get really in touch with our core values, right? And our core values, like I was saying, are things that really guide us. They're like a compass, right? Goals are destinations, whereas our core values are directions to where we want to go in life. So we have our goals, but then how are we going to get there? Because the ends don't always justify the means, right? We want to be and show up in the world in a way, in integrity that we're proud of while we're achieving our goals. So goals are things that we sort of set, whereas core values we discover as we go through life, right? Core values we discover as we travel, as we have our heart broken, as we enter into new relationships, right? We discover our core values because as we live our life, things happen and we go, oh, that's what's going on right now. That's what's happening, right? So core values can be things like honesty, courage, compassion. Oftentimes people think of core values in the context of how we treat other people, right? But our core values can also encompass our personal core values, which are things that are really important to us, but may not be that important to other people, right? May be really important to us and what we feel we need, but maybe it doesn't even really have to do with other people. So, you know, some of mine are freedom, obviously, and adventure. I do value being a rebel. I do value questioning authority, questioning the status quo, going against the way things are automatically done, not intentionally, but to question it. And if it doesn't make sense, to try a new way of being in the world, right? So in the pod that's going to drop tomorrow, I guide you through an activity where you are visualizing yourself in your elderly years, and you are reflecting on, you have lived a life well lived. You're super proud of how you showed up. You've accomplished the things you want to accomplish. Now, what got you there? What were the core values that got you there? Oh, my dog wants me to pick up one. Okay. Anyway, so you're going to reflect on that. So thinking about like when you achieved that sense of contentment, right? Were you acting with honesty? Were you adventurous? Were you compassionate, right? And write those things out. So if you can think of that for a minute, go ahead and write that down. I'm just going to give you a minute to do that. Okay, now let's see here. All right, I'm just going through my little alignment activity that I have here because I want to guide you through it live. Okay, now when you think about those core values that got you to that elderly, content, super stoked place to be, are there ways now that you're not living in accord with those values? Now, obviously, this is really fast. On the pod, I walk you through it a lot more slowly, but you know, are there ways that you're not living in alignment with your core values, or ways that your life seems to be out of balance with your values, right? Especially your personal ones, like maybe one of your big values is spending time in nature, right? And you're too busy, or you don't live somewhere where you have access to that. Where are you not living in alignment with your values, and how can you change that, right? When we are happy in life, it's usually because how we're living our life on the outside is in alignment with who we are on the inside. And when we are unhappy or anxious or feel like something bad's going on, it's because we are living in a way that is not in alignment with how we want to be on the inside and what that's looking like on the outside, right? So it's really important that we take inventory, not for shaming ourselves, not for saying, oh, I'm failing at living up to my core values. It's just about checking in. It's just about checking in with, wait a minute, I say that I'm adventurous. When was my last adventure? Wait a minute, I say I love to travel, but when did I last travel, right? Wait a minute, I say that having a rebellious spirit is important to me. Where have I recently done an assessment of my life? And am I just falling into a pattern of just being just because that's the way everyone else is doing it, right? So it's a way, like I said earlier, a core value is a compass to guide us towards our goals. So for 2021, what I really want you to do is set an intention, right, for what you want to create, but also checking in alignment. Oh, Cindy's saying here, are you able to see my comment? Let me go grab my phone real quick so that I can see if you're typing in a comment. I'll be right back. One sec. That was fast. It was right here. Okay. Let me see, Cindy. Oh yeah. Hey girl. So, what intentions do you want to create? What intentions feel in alignment with your core values? And remember, those core values are not just, how we treat other people, but things that can be important to us, that mean a lot to us, right? So once you've decided what those core values are, once you've decided what goals you want to create for 2021, right? I want you to decide about one core value in particular that you want to dedicate yourself to, right? Something that you really want to prioritize. Like for me, 2021 is going to be about ease and appreciating nature, right? I feel like I'd gotten so busy that even though I'm in nature more than the average person, I have my own sort of barometer about what that looks like for me. I mean, I had a life where for 10 years, I spent the majority of my life sleeping outside, right? So that was the way I preferred to live my life. I liked to sleep under the stars, look out. So, what does that look like now? Okay, well, that's part of the reason why I moved to Hawaii, right? To have this alignment of being closer to nature. So I'm not, living out of my Volvo and camping outside 365. But look, like this is my view. They're doing some construction on the pool. I don't know if you can see that. There's ocean, like right there. I guess it's kind of hard to see. But anyway, I can see the stars at night. It's so nice, right? I really had to take inventory and be like, okay, wait a minute. I really value being in nature. I live in Alaska, which is totally amazing, right? For being in nature, but I'm not in it as much as I want. So yeah, so I'm going to be here right on the water so that even while I'm working and even when I'm busy, I can feel totally connected, right? And then when I have like a little break, I can go walk outside. So, I made a lot of changes to make that happen. So I want you to pick, what are you devoted to? What core value do you want to be devoted to in the next year? I could do a whole other podcast on devotion. In fact, I'll make a mental note to do that. But I really want to encourage you to decide, what is my personal core value that I really want to devote myself to, make a vow to in 2021, And I use the word devoted and vow in a very intentional way. It doesn't have to do with religion. It has to do with commitment to yourself, commitment to this one precious life you have and how you want to live it. How are you going to choose your goals? How are you going to guide your life? How are you going to make decisions? And you can pull up that core value. Like, for example, with the one that I wanted to dedicate myself to in 2021, I'm going to say yes to certain things and I'm going to say no to others, right? I'm going to say yes to being completely online. I'm going to say yes to living more simply, living in a smaller space. I'm going to say no to, needing a bigger space. When we say yes to one thing, we're saying no to another, right? So what am I saying no to? Sometimes that keeps us, because we don't realize we have to say no to some things, it keeps us from actually living in alignment with our values. I know for me, that was kind of true for a little bit. Like when I wanted to live in Hawaii for the winters, I would always say, oh, but the type of place I want, I can't afford yet, or something like that. And then it was like, well, I can say no to the bit, like what's more important? Being in nature, closer to nature, like 24/7, or having a bigger place, right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to be cool with working in a studio with my kiddo hacking in the background. Oh, speaking of, Kilauea erupted Sunday. Everybody's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, Kilauea erupted for like 35 years. It took a 2-year break and now it's back. So this is actually more baseline for the generation of people my age that have been on the Big Island. But I'm super excited about it because I did want Maya to see actual lava coming out. So we're going to go check. What core value do you are on? Go ahead and type it into the comment box. If you're on there, you can, oh, it says my internet connection's unstable. That's okay. I managed to always pick places to hang out where there's not great internet. So don't worry if it stalls a little. All right. Yeah. Kim says adventure. Joni says joy. Yeah. Linda says saying yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Like if you tend to be the no person saying yes. Did y'all read Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes? It's super interesting, right? To think that someone that successful has problems saying yes to social events and interviews. And she had a whole year where she decided to say yes to all those things. And it opened up her heart and her life in many ways, and to friendships and more intimacy. So what is that vow you're going to make to yourself? I vow to have more adventure every day. I vow to create more freedom in my life. I vow to say yes more often. Then when we want to make a decision, this is what guides us. So when your boss says, hey, I'm thinking about promoting you. Do you want to accept this promotion? But it requires you to not be gone as much. It requires you to stress out more, even though it gives you more money. Maybe you say, hey, this is not moving me towards the value that I'm in alignment with this year, that I'm devoting myself to, right? That I'm committing myself to. And so you say no, because I'm saying yes to freedom and adventure. I know so many people that don't accept promotions because it's going to cramp their lifestyle. They're like, you couldn't pay me enough to do that, right? So we can use this to make decisions about everything, about clothing. Do I feel adventurous in this outfit, right? When I'm with that person, do I feel more free or do I feel more restricted with that person? In relationship, we can get so caught up in the dynamic and giving the other person what they want and compromising, yada, yada, and making sure we don't create conflict, that we end up saying no quite a bit to our core values. So then we can ask ourselves, am I in alignment with my core values in this relationship? And if not, we can say no to the relationship, right? Or we can say yes. And then we say, good, oh, I'm so lucky. This person is helping me live in alignment with who I want to be. So, what are those values, right? What are those values that you want to dedicate yourself to? And but pick one in particular that you're going to be devoted to. And you may have heard the phrase, word of the year. Oh, hey, Michelle, aloha. Michelle is my bubble buddy that totally helped me move in this week. It was crazy. It was crazy. We both like cried at one point because we had 3 kids in a studio too. Oh my gosh, it was kind of epic. But thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, it was kind of, but here we are. It's all good now. And what's the one you're going to devote yourself to? And that you may have heard of word of the year, right? And it's like, well, what's that cheesy thing? What does that mean? Is that just something that you want to like tattoo? Or you put it up on your wall? But I like to use the word of the year for exactly that. It's a personal value that you dedicate yourself to, right? And you make decisions based on that. Am I going to eat this? Am I going to wear this? Am I going to take that job? Where am I going to go travel to? My relationship, what conversations I'm going to have. That's how we start living our values, right? We devote ourselves to them. We do the inconvenient things so that we can stay in alignment with our values, okay? So if you have the bandwidth, go ahead and type more in there. I can see that some people have typed a little bit more about what value they're going to dedicate themselves to. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and type it in. I'm seeing in my Zoom chat box here. Cherise says compassion. Carrie says humor. Yeah. Jillian says adventure. Carrie says freedom. Shauna says gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. I was looking at Michelle's comment, it says aloha. That's such a good word to be dedicated to as well. Maybe I'll change mine to aloha just as a theme, but we'll see. Yeah, she says, cheers to transition spray, Mom Magic, trying to stay in alignment with love. Justin says creativity and feedback. Yeah. So we stay dedicated to these things, right? One thing I recommend, the most impressionable times of day are when we first wake up, like before we even open our eyes, when we're just like, okay, that was a dream. Like I had a dream that I smoked some weed and I was like tripping. I was like, what did they put in this? And in my dream, I was like, oh shit, this was a little stronger. And I was like trying to go through all the stuff I was supposed to do, like super high. And then I remember I woke up and I was like, oh, thank God, that was kind of stressful. And so in that moment, when you first realize you're not as high as you thought you were in your dream, then you say, oh, may I live my life in devotion to connection with nature, to more ease, to gratitude, right? Then that kind of sets the tone for our day. I think of it like a bookend. So that's the first bookend. And then at the end of the day, that's your other most impressionable time of day, right before you fall asleep. Check in, not to shame yourself, but where did I live in alignment with my value today? Oh, I'm so proud of myself that I went for a walk at lunch to spend more time in nature instead of eating at my desk and working, right? Or I'm so stoked that I took the time to say thank you to that person, even though I was really busy. Where did you live in alignment? Where did you fall a little short and how would you do it differently? Not to shame, not to feel guilt, but to be like, what happened there? That's where I sort of realized that I was too busy was when I started reflecting on like, gee, I like to do these nice little sweet things for friends, and I haven't had the time to do those things lately. Like, I wanted to make soup for someone that had a baby, and I was like, maybe I should just pick something up at the like local restaurant, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, one of my values, what I get joy out of, is doing things myself for friends. I really like that. I was like, I have to be less busy so that I have time to make some freaking soup for a friend when they want it, right? Oh, you're welcome, Michelle. Yeah, setting the mood for my day. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And then at the end, we remind ourselves. And then what's even better is hopefully we dream about it, because when it enters your dream, your brain is really integrating it, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. One more comment. Actually, you may not always be able to live out that core value 100% due to circumstances or whatever. But what is a way? Think about ways you can live them out so that you are at least partially living them out. Not to compromise and lower the bar, but to make sure you're always staying in alignment, right? Like if you can't go out and explore a mountain for the day, maybe you have a picture of a mountain. Maybe you watch a movie maybe you watch a climbing movie or something, right? Staying connected to that in some way, albeit incompletely, right? So that your body, your mind, your spirit remembers that you are devoted to that. Okay? So feel free to comment later if you're on Team Replay, put hashtag Team Replay. Let me know what you are devoted to for 2021. You can tell me a bunch of things. You could tell me one thing. Tell me about that core value. Tell me about your goals. I want to hear about how you're going to turn what's been an incredibly challenging year around so that you can continue to create the life you're meant to live. Okay? Mwah! I won't be talking to you all next week, okay? Because I'm going to unplug from social media for this Wednesday, but I think I'm going to be on the next coming Wednesday, but I think I'll be on the week after. I don't know. I haven't looked at my calendar yet, but next week we're going to be off. Okay. So y'all have an amazing holiday. Is it going to be the new year? Yeah, it's going to be the new year the next time I talk to you. Oh my gosh. Wait, no, I have to tell you, for your new year ritual, what I love to do is it, yeah, I don't think, yeah. So it's going to be the new year. Here's what I want you to do for the new year ritual. Okay. What I love to do is I make a fire ceremony, and I write down everything I want to let go of from the last year. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's fear, right? Maybe it's an unhealthy lifestyle or an unhealthy habit. Maybe it's a grudge I'm bearing or something. Then I burn that. And then I create my new intentions, like what you're devoted to, right? And I write that down, and we have like a little ceremony where we tell each other what that is. And so maybe try something like that for the new year. Okay. And then when we meet again, we can jam about that. All right. Happy holidays. I hope you had an amazing solstice. I hope you have a fabulous new year transition. And I will see you not next week, but the week after. Okay. Mwah. Bye. Oh, you're welcome. I will enjoy the unplugged time. Thanks, everyone.